That's so sweet. Oh,
Yeah, did you like it?
I liked it. Hi, Whimsy. I'm just so happy that you're home safe and
Oh,
sound and from your amazing trip to Jerusalem and Israel. You went to I'm sorry, not Jerusalem, Israel, right?
well, I landed in Tel Aviv, actually,
Oh,
darling.
yeah.
And the people were very worried about me, but everything
I
was
was worried about you. I'll admit that.
Oh, you're so
Because
sweet.
we love you. We care about you.
Oh, you guys are so precious.
Yeah.
The worst thing that happened was I got food poisoning on the flight. And
Oh my goodness, I didn't know about that.
yeah, so you're flying there, and usually their food is great, right? You got to fly El Al. Can I just say I love you, El Al? I love El Al. There's no other airline like El
Yeah.
Al.
Did they give you food poisoning though?
One Mine tasted off. I think what happens with heating food is that you have trays and it's different temperatures, right? So
Yes.
if
Yes.
your tray is in the bottom,
Uh-huh.
it's going to be the hottest, right? If it's like it contained, but if it's out on the rim, so I think something like that might have happened. That mine, because it tasted a little off. Anyway, by the time I landed, I was not doing too good.
No, that's terrible.
I got to my Airbnb and I couldn't find the location of my Airbnb. And
How long was your flight, Whimsy?
I think it was, well, I had to transfer out of Los Angeles. Hi, my love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I know when I've flown direct to London, it's about 10 and a half hours. So I was wondering how much longer. Hey, Mila. Mila. I used to babysit for Mila.
Yes, that's her place right there. Now I'm starting to cough again, so
Yeah.
yeah, I love you. I love you, but I'm allergic to you, so I don't know. So I'm starting to feel that a little bit.
Yeah.
I am brushing her, but it's a bit of a problem. But yeah, so I landed. I couldn't find my Airbnb. I was getting really sick. And can you imagine, like, you're outside of the apartment building? The problem with Israeli apartment buildings is that they are built like kibbutzes in the sense that you'll have a row of buildings that are all connected as A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
and then another row, A, B, C, D units one, A, B, C, D units two, A, B, C, D unit. And so you've got this block of, it's very, I think it might be Russian influence or something, but so you wind up in these areas and you're just like somewhere on this block with all of these buildings. So okay, it's in the second complex, the the B building, so I was so sick I couldn't figure it out. So it was not much fun.
It's exhausting just doing all that traveling to begin with, even when you're in the best of health, but to have food poisoning on top of that.
Yeah, so I got through that, and everybody ignored me. I got no responses from anybody, right? Uh,
Yeah.
but it was good. I mean, you kind of like take your ideas. The point is that for me also, I just wanted to, when the people you love and care about are living through something like that, you don't just abandon them. You have to kind of.
Of course.
So, I mean, I feel like I did most of what I did was I went and I hung out with my friends who were not doing too good. So,
It's understandable.
I'm
sure they appreciate having you there.
Yeah. So, when you're in a situation like that and you're with friends and everybody is sad, you do things you acknowledge the hostages, you acknowledge the war, you acknowledge all of that, but you also need to take a walk, take a breather, have a nice meal, play with the grandkids, those kinds of experiences. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to help anybody. So, yeah, so that was good.
How long did it take you to recover from the food poisoning?
72 hours, but I was still shaky. Like I had thought about donating blood because there was blood. I knew in a position I wouldn't have been able to anyway. So,
Yeah, you wouldn't have it. Well, it probably would have left you too weak, having just gone through that.
well, I had a possible virus, so it wasn't an option. So
I'm sorry that happened to you, but it looked like from all your videos, the trip went well. And, and as I said to you, we do a pre-show about 15 minutes beforehand, and I hadn't seen Whimsy since she got back. And I just said to Whimsy, you look so young, you look happy,
yeah.
you look healthy, you look really refreshed, renewed. And I love seeing that.
See, I am optimistic about 2024. I believe 2024 is going to be about unity, healing, communication,
Yeah.
Learning how to listen to each other, and getting away from all this escalating violence. It's like, God, what are we doing? Relax. Let's learn how to talk to each other. I think that's
get back to basics. It's almost like a reboot, it sounds like.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to turn it a little bit over to you. I know that you had a 3-week hiatus.
Kind of, sort of.
What happened with you? What happened with you?
What happened to me? I was just working on some various art commissions.
Mm-hmm.
I still make phone calls for you. I wanted to get through the list of all the names, and which is great. You
called every single patient and client?
No, on the list, you gave me a special list of about 1,700 names.
Oh, only the top 1,700.
Yes.
How special I am.
Finally reached the Z's, and I'm like, hallelujah.
How long did it take you to get through my patient list?
Oh my God, when did we start? I think I started back in August. So July or August with that project, and it's been ongoing. It's big, but I've loved it because I've said this before many times on the show, because many of your clients, people you've worked with, are people who watch this show. So I've had people recognize my voice. You're Chuck from Taco Tuesdays. This is the most wonderful conversations, and there's so many of you out there. I now feel like I have a little bit of a personal relationship with you, and I know you. You know me. And that's lovely.
Speaking of, I wanted to just talk a little bit about my work as a naturopathic doctor, because we joke about the psychic stuff, but the stuff I'm focusing on right now is just how to help everybody naturally avoid viruses. That's a big part of it. Like, stay hydrated, keep your because what I don't know if it was food poisoning or a stomach virus, but boy, when you get something like that, it'll take you out for a while. Number one, you do want to isolate yourself if you are going through something like that, because you don't want somebody else getting it.
Exactly. But I think because it's in our stomach region, that's the solar plexus of the body, the center of our energy field, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just natural. It leaves us so weak and debilitated. I know that's always happened to me whenever I've had a stomach issue, particularly food poisoning. I got food poisoning once from a sandwich from Subway. I'm not impugning the company or anything. I'm talking about one isolated incident, but I don't know if it was the mayonnaise or the turkey, but it hit me within 30 minutes of eating the sandwich. So I knew that's what it was. And again, I'm not impugning the Subway company, but I'm just telling the story.
It happened, like one accident at Subway's wall of, so come on, one.
Well, I know, but I just don't want to be construed that way,
Right. I mean, but no matter how careful you are, there's still going to be a risk of foodborne.
There are, but I had the lead role in a stage play. This was like 30 years ago here in LA. It was my big lead role, and 5 days before the show, I get massive food poisoning, and I'm so sick. And by some miracle, I was okay by the night of the show, but I was really worried that week. Then here you were on your big dream trip, and
wow,
only 3 days for you.
Well, I thought we would take a minute to go ahead and welcome all of you. And then also, I know Chuck is going to want to say hi to everybody as well. I've got it open, Chuck, on the YouTube with the comments, because Restream Cuts removes about 50%. But
50%. I better pull it up on my iPad here then,
But want to give a shout out to Laura Hammond Davis. Laura Hammond Davis, thank you for being a member. Biller in Bungalow, thank you for being a moderator. And Joel Tilson, give a shout out to him. Bow. Joel Tilson is our official floor director for the show, and he's here to make sure that all of you are heard and seen. He's, I believe, still single. He lives in Wyoming, and he's really a very lovely gentleman. So if any of that is appealing, be sure and flirt with our floor manager, Joel Tilson. Okay, gotta get the guy married. He's the catch. Also give a shout out to Oshun Star. Welcome. Thank you for being a member. Enthusiastic. Hello, Wendy Burt. Thank you so much for being a member of the channel. Support for the channel helps to, like I said, fund the channel, helps us to bring on amazing people like Chuck and to pay for things like our restream, run fundraisers. You know, over the last 5 years, well, it's almost since the Ukraine war started with Google, we started that Google thing, Google partner. That, you know, they raised over $2 million for feeding Ukraine.
My God.
It took us a couple of years, and we got some big donations from Google, but that was pretty awesome. I mean,
that is also $2 million is always awesome in my opinion.
Yeah, so people can be proud of themselves.
I think so.
Did I visit King the Second gravesite in Jerusalem? No, you know, no, there was a lot of places we didn't get to. I mean, the next time I go, I'm going to stay in Jerusalem because that's where my family is. So I think it was a bit of a drag being in Tel Aviv because the truth of the matter is everybody that I wanted to talk to was in Jerusalem. So I'm like, why did I go to Tel Aviv? I thought I was going to have more business in Tel Aviv, but I had no business in Tel Aviv. So there you go. No. Hi, Desiree Rabato. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support and also being a moderator. Let's see who else here. Do you see anyone else we need to say? We're up to Ann Dillon.
Well, see, I'm just laughing at Wendy's comment here. Taco hell tried to kill me. I had to run to the bathroom. That was in response.
Yes. Well, do you want to do the empath's prayer and then we can start the show? What do you think?
Please. I love the empath's prayer.
Okay, we have a really fun show today. If you haven't had a chance to like and subscribe, we've got a really fun topic. And of course, we'll be doing blitzes. Any questions you have about the world, but understand that Tuesdays are pretty light. So we tend to do more light, humorous topics like celebrities. If you want to talk about Trump, that's cool. But we want people to be a little light, right, Chuck? We're here
Exactly. That's the whole point. You told me that. You said basically I should be Ed McMahon to your Johnny Carson, and we should just have fun.
Yeah, because you know what? We all need a break, right? Like,
don't we? All the news, and I don't even have to say it. We all know when I say the news. Yes, we just need some fun. We need some levity. We need some joy. You know?
Yeah, let's do the empath's prayer, and let's see what
please.
Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. Amen. So we were talking about art earlier, and we were talking about the theme subject for today's show is about iconic characters on television. Yes. So we wanted everybody to think about, I think we've got a lot of Generation X here. We've got some baby boomers.
I was going to say you and I are the baby boomer generation.
Yeah. So what happened with baby boomer? I'm kind of in the middle, I think. I think it was like the
That's your
63,
merchandise.
64, we kind of went into my generation was listening more to the B-52s. I think their generation, so I'm kind of like splitting, but
Saw them in concert once. Hollywood Bowl.
they're good. Yeah, they're very good.
Yes.
So
they're all in like their 70s now. But
so my question to you folks is, which character? Now, here's the thing: the baby boomers and the Generation X and everything after that, we grew up on television, right? We all grew up on television. We were the first to get TVs into the home, right?
Well, we were among the first, you know.
Mm-hmm. But more than that, we were the generation where mom started to go and work, right? So many of us, how many of us were latchkey kids? How many of us, or even if you were not a latchkey kid, you would come home. This is what I would do. I would come home, I would walk home from school, and I would turn on the TV. I would take off my shoes. I hated wearing shoes. And I would watch the lineup of shows. And it was like the Brady Bunch. It was the Partridge Family. It was I Dream of Genie.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the top 3 shows that I watched. Absolutely, were I Dream of Genie, the Brady Bunch, and the Partridge Family. So
yes.
And
Night on ABC.
And Lucille Ball, but Lucille Ball was a younger show, right?
Yeah.
So
Friday night on ABC. Partridge Family, you know.
Yeah, and at night it was Carol Burnett. Was it Friday nights, Carol Burnett's, and then later on came SNL. But I'm talking early on. The first thing we saw was Carol Burnett.
You know what? In my opinion, the greatest night ever on television was the CBS Saturday night, 73, 74. You had All in the Family, you had Bench, you had Mary Tyler Moore, Bob Newhart, and Carol Burnett all on the same night. There's never been a night like that since.
Was that CBS?
CBS Saturday night.
Right, I remember.
Yeah. I mean, to have those 5 shows on the same night, we're talking like some of the most iconic shows ever. You know, so that was heaven for me.
Sonny and Cher, that's right. Somebody mentioned Sonny and Cher.
Oh, I love Sonny and Cher.
Yeah, so I guess their skits were really stupid, but yeah, it was cool.
But you loved them. You know, it's kind of like a show like Gilligan's Island. You knew it was stupid, but you loved the characters. You loved the actors, and you fell into it and believed it. You could say that about Brady Bunch even. Not the greatest writing in the world, but darn, we loved it. Partridge Family. Those people feel like friends.
Yeah. So I guess my next question is for the audience in this opening discussion is, of all the characters you grew up watching, you know, Wonder Woman, Beretta, you know, some guys wanted to be Beretta. Like I've dated
love Beretta.
Oh, so many guys wanted to be Beretta. You know, how many guys wanted to be Kung Fu? Admit it.
You know what? How much I love Beretta? Remember his cockatoo?
Yes, his cockatoo.
For many years, I had a pet cockatoo, and I wanted a cockatoo because I loved the one on Beretta so much. So for years, I dreamt of having one of my own for a pet. Then I found out what high maintenance they are, how destructive and trouble, and you know that's another story.
Give them a girlfriend because I think they need like a mate or something.
Oh yeah, well, that bird was very obsessed with me.
So, question. Oh, Columbo, yes, of course. Okay, so the question now is, you now have to put yourself into the show, like growing up, the latchkey kid, or whatever your story is. Which iconic character most likely describes you, or you felt was the most like, that's me, that character is me, or that it was part of your fundamental core, you know, like I really can relate to the character.
So are we asking that of the audience?
From the audience, but let's start with you. Let's start
with me then. Well, I found out about this like a few minutes before we were going to do the show, and I thought, well, it doesn't have to be the same gender because I think everybody knows.
No, gender's not. What is it?
Lucy Ricardo. Because, you know, and the reason Well, first of all, I identified with her. I just loved her. But I always loved how she was like a child in an adult's body. She was like a wide-eyed little girl, the schemer. She had this incredible imagination. Nothing stopped her, no matter how absurd it was. She was out there doing it, bringing Ethel along. I loved her for that. I identified with her. I felt comforted by her. So it was Lucy Ricardo, but I was going to say also my second runner-up would be Carol Burnett.
Yeah.
Because,
I really could relate to Carol Burnett. Yeah.
well,
I
you see what came out at the beginning of the show.
Carol
Yeah.
Burnett. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been lucky to meet her 3 times since. One of the things I was going to say to you, we grew up at the same time, loved a lot of the same shows. When I moved out to Los Angeles in the 80s, many of these actors were still living. So I got to meet a lot of them in person, like Natalie Schaefer, who played Mrs. Howell, Dawn Wells, who played Marianne. I got to meet
Can we say with complete
Don Knotts.
Can we say with complete confidence as healthcare workers that you and I really have met everybody, haven't we?
Yes, we have. We've been very lucky. Very lucky.
How do you feel about being the physician's assistant to all these celebrities? Like, how was that? Because he and I have this thing. How was that for you? That whole.
Well, first of all, it was just an honor. Period. It didn't matter if a person was a celebrity or not. I'm like you. I just loved helping people. But I get your point. What you're saying.
Well, you're an actor, so for me, it's different. Like I do character stuff here. We raise money for.
Oh, sure.
But I'm a physician. That's my.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But you're an actor, so I'm just from the point of me hiring you and the fact that you were in that situation. I'm just curious how that was.
Well, but, I was just trying to say it was an honor, no matter who it was. But yes, when it would be a celebrity, especially somebody I grew up with on a television show. I of course it's a big thrill when a major movie star would come in or something, but the people who really affected my heart were the people like Don Knotts, who played Barney, Natalie Schaefer, who played Mrs. Howell. I mean, Ava Gabor. Let me tell you, Ava Gabor was one of the sweetest human beings I ever met in my life. Lisa Douglas from Green Acres. I can go on and on, especially in the 80s and 90s. These people were still alive and accessible. I met so many of them. And I thought remember Alice Through the Looking Glass? Well, it's like the television screen, the glass screen. That's how old we are. Television glass screens. It was like on one side of the glass screen. I come out to LA. I'm on the other side of the screen where I'm now meeting the people for real. And I never was jaded to that. I always saw that as the greatest privilege. But yes, when it was in a professional capacity, like developing a nutritional program for them, or when we would do our hair tests together, and when it was a celebrity, of course, oh my God, what a thrill that was. I'd be pinching myself because I'm from a little tiny town in Virginia, so to be out here in LA, I'm like the kid in the candy store, and I always will be.
Yeah. My character, the person that I wanted to be more than anybody else, was I Dream of Genie.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. First off, who here loved her apartment?
My God. You mean her inside of her bottle?
Yes, that apartment.
Oh, wasn't that cool?
Yes.
When I was a little boy, I used to watch that show and think, what does she have to do when she has to go pee? Where does she go to the bathroom in that bottle? I guess genies didn't have to worry about that.
Well, she would just blink out of it and go to.
Good point.
Her family lived in a kingdom in Babylon.
That's true.
Well, she spent most of her time hanging out with them and arguing with her family, who didn't like them.
And
so she wasn't spending much time in the bottle. I mean, it was only. He didn't put a cork on it. She would go in there and she would take a nap, and then she would blink and she would be in Babylon arguing with Haji.
Or don't forget her evil sister.
Her evil sister was always stopping by and trying to wreck up the relationship. But also, anthropologists have actually studied Genie as an archetype of what is known as benign dominance theory. She was the master of benign dominance in the sense that all she wanted to do was love and take care of her beloved.
Yes, she was like a very innocent character. There was something very pure about her love on that show, because that show easily could have had sexual undertones. You know, the master with the beautiful, sexy genie in the bottle granting his wishes. You never got that vibe from the show. There was a purity to the show, an innocence.
Well, he was very protective of her because she was this kind of,
Yeah.
but also her only function in the world was to love her beloved.
Yes.
She really,
Yes.
and she knew who she was. She wasn't confused about anything.
Yeah.
And the only time she overrode him was, that's not good for your health. You're going to eat this instead. I mean,
Yes, exactly.
she was always functioning from a place of, okay, is this or is this not good for my beloved? So in that sense, she wins. She became more powerful than Tony in the sense that,
Yes.
so she teaches us she's the master of benign dominance. And so that's the lesson she teaches us.
Let me ask you, did you think it was a mistake when they got married that last year of the show? Because many people feel they never should have gotten married. They should have just kept the premise of the show as it was. Or did that bother you?
No, I thought it was a good evolution of the show. And I don't think the problem was that they got married. I think the problem is that Hollywood writers think that, you're dead now. And that, whereas it could have continued to become even more hysterical with him now that she's out and in this, like that would have been, it could have become increasingly hysterical. But because they couldn't think outside of what the original premise was, that's what killed the story.
Yeah, I think so too. I was wondering because, there are all these Facebook sites where shows like Genie get discussed, and I see that come up a lot. So I was just curious to ask you your opinion. I
think the problem is with writers. It's like, and then they got married at the end. Oh, no. So I think that's really more what the characters can't. What do you mean the characters can't develop? I mean, like it could have continued on and been even more hysterically funny, right?
I think so too.
Could have gotten into business like real estate. I mean, like,
oh my God,
they could have really gone crazy on this concept and had magical children that they then had to put.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They could have just really gone. But
I love that idea of magical children.
They were not able to. Yeah. So really, the fault wasn't them. That wasn't the fault in terms of the evolution of the characters, because that's kind of the only way that the characters could have evolved is the fact that the writers couldn't evolve. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But let me see the bottle. I want to see the bottle.
Well, anyway, I was just going to mention this. I was going to surprise you live on the air, but I've spoiled it since you already know about it. But it just seemed too appropriate, and you told me who your favorite character was.
Oh my God, there it is.
This, a real Genie bottle, and I do mean real. You probably can't see it, but it is autographed. She autographed this to me. Barbara Eden, in my presence, held this bottle in her hands and signed this with a Sharpie marker. She signed it both Barbara Eden and Genie. But I look at it this way: the fact that she held it in her hands makes it a real, honest to God Genie bottle. And when you said that,
when you open it up, okay, probably the number one question that Chuck gets about this artifact is when you actually open the bottle up, there really isn't an apartment inside of it.
No, nothing inside the bottle. I am sorry to shatter your illusions.
They're going to have to do that because you see how it has a lower part. They could have just taken it off. They could have constructed the entire thing and then reapplied. And it actually.
I'm happy with it. Yeah, just the fact that Barbara Eden signed this to me. She did it, I started to say last year, but I forget we're in a new year now. So it was the year 2022, summer 22. She was at a convention in Pasadena. And when I heard they were selling the Genie bottles and she was going to be there to sign them, I couldn't say no to that. I thought I will kick myself forever if I do not get a Genie bottle signed by her.
Right.
And she was 91 at the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
91 and looks incredible. It is true. Genies don't age.
That's right.
I don't break it. But she was posing for pictures with fans, doing her famous Genie blink. She can still do it. And before she did the signing, she did a little question.
Is a terrible receiver of gifts. What are you talking about? Who's Mars? Somebody says I'm a terrible receiver of gifts.
What? I don't see that comment. Whimsy, you're a terrible receiver of gifts. Terrible. I don't know. Well, I don't know what they mean by that. I think you're a fabulous receiver of gifts, but but maybe the person will explain it a little better. But I was going to say she did a question and answer beforehand. And I was talking about Lucy Ricardo and I Love Lucy. Most of you know Barbara Eden was on I Love Lucy. You know that it was the last season's the country club dance where she was like 20 years old at the time, and Barbara Eden said it was her second ever acting job. And she said her first job, this actress on this TV show, this older actress, treated her horribly, was so mean to her, probably jealous of her. And she was scared to death to work with Lucy. She thought, oh my God, am I going to go through this again? And she said, no, Lucy treated her with such love and kindness and respect. And she did everything she could to make Barbara Eden feel comfortable. And you know that dress she wears, that real sexy dress at the country club dance? Right. Lucy looked at it in rehearsal and said, are you happy with that dress? And Barbara Eden thought, oh, she thinks I look too good or something. She wants me to wear something different. Lucy said, no, let me take that dress. I'm going to sew sequins on it for you and make it really special for you. And Lucy on her lunch break would be in her dressing room, hand stitching little beads and sequins onto the dress. She did that for Barbara Eden to make her feel special. And I always loved what Barbara Eden said on the show when she had to pick one of the guys. My mother told me to pick you. So of course he did that for us. Anyway, that's my little story. I don't want to interrupt you, Whimsy.
I'm having trouble understanding the comments.
Let's see here. Well,
like I couldn't understand the Mars response.
Yeah, I don't know what they meant by that. I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
Someone said, I don't believe there's no genie in that bottle. Maybe there is. Maybe there is.
There was another question about, to ask the audience now if they can tell us what characters
what they'd like to be.
Yeah, what did they want to be, and what do you think? When you look at those characters, what does that teach you about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I know somebody mentioned Mary Tyler Moore. I got to meet her once. She was wonderful. I love Mary Tyler Moore. Someone mentioned Bewitched. That was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. I think, didn't you, Whimsy, like shows like Genie, Bewitched? Didn't you just love the magic?
Bewitched,
yeah. Did you believe you could do magic like that?
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's also conversations about what we learn socially and cultural from these shows, right? I mean, that's something that people say, well, we really want to talk about that, which is like in the case of Bewitched, it goes back to this idea of the medicine women, the educated women who were witches that were burned because men were actually frightened that these women knew too much or had too much knowledge, particularly when it came to healthcare workers. If you're looking at the history of what were known as barefoot doctors, that these were women that were literally walking the Silk Road and treating people, and they were migrant. Can you believe that? What a beautiful world. I would love that. Just with my caravan, I'm the healer woman. Let me, you're depressed, I'll make you some chamomile.
Your pink harem costume on and your little pink veil, and
I read about a female physician who was from that time period that had started in, I think, what is now Iraq. She started her studies, some of her writings. She travels to what is now Iran. She studied the early hospitals. Then she migrated to study the medicine. And then from there, she took a trade route to Jerusalem. And she lived in Jerusalem for a time, studying how medicine was practiced in Jerusalem. I think it was after the Roman occupation. And then she is taken as a slave to Rome. And she wound up serving in the courts in Rome as a physician. So I wish I could re-find that story, but I just thought, whoa. I mean, the history of women doctors, the women are what came to be called witches in Europe.
Wow.
But damn, that goes back to the Silk Road. That goes back to the caravans of these wise women that, you think about the caravans, people were giving birth, people were living their lives. You had to have women delivering the babies. And so, yeah, the story with Bewitched is that she has all these powers, and Darren is
Yeah.
trying desperately to keep her from using them.
Yeah, that was definitely sexist thinking of that time, that era, that has aged the show. It's one of the few things about the show that really dates it badly.
Yeah, where the joke of I Dream of Genie is that they're equals, or she's running the show, in the sense that
Yes.
he's often asking for her help. Genie, could you fix it? Genie, could you do it? So he's the exact opposite of Darren. He's constantly, he has to get bailed out of jail.
Yeah.
But so it's much more of a relationship of equal.
Yeah. They
And
did have that premise where they had to keep her secret for the longest time.
yeah, but that was also part of the magic of the Genie, was that she was hidden. And that was also the joke, in a sense, right? Was
Genie in the bottle, so to speak.
keeping her. She had this powerful influence, but she was also this hidden little mischievous, like gremlin that floats around and leaves little breadcrumbs, and that became the best part of the show, right?
Yeah. You just
I loved the psychiatrist. Did you not love the psychiatrist? Like,
Dr. Bellows.
oh my God. Like he would ask, Genie would make him a cake to make him young master, and he turned into a little boy, and then he had to answer this.
Well, Barbara Eden, because I see her on Facebook. She said that actor, I think his name was Hayden Rourke, who played the psychiatrist. They were very close friends in real life. She said he was always throwing dinner parties where he would cook these wonderful meals, and she would always be there with her. She and her husband would always come over to their house.
Who was this?
Hayden Rourke, who played, was it Dr. Bellows, his name?
Dr. Bellows.
Yes.
Yeah, but what I thought was so funny about him was that he was constantly having to do a psychiatric evaluation on Tony.
Yes.
Because it's like, we have to see the effects of this, machine on your psychiatric health. And then he would show up. He would be in some weird costume or something. It's like, 2 weeks leave. You're taking a break.
God. I've got to start checking out I Dream of Genie.
Oh my God. They've got like 5-minute vignettes. I don't have a lot of time between clients and whatnot, but I
bet you make time between your clients for Genie.
Yeah, that, and I'm doing all this virus studies now. I'm coming up with a new herb treatment, a strong I do my herbology. It is really complicated.
Of course,
really complicated.
About what was it, 6 years ago? Get my NDA license. You remember you had me watching all of these YouTube videos about viruses, and you and I spent one-on-one. It's like, oh my God, this is complicated. It's like a universe.
I feel like I'm Debbie Downer, but the reason I bring it up is because when people talk about pandemics, like whether it's the swine flu in 1918, which took out 60 million people, the Spanish flu, we didn't even know it was the swine flu, but talk about a deep conversation. This is actually the second thing we're going to be moving into, which is this idea of the new world, right? The new world we are co-creating.
Yeah.
And versus the world we have now. Are we willing to admit that the old ways are gone? And if the old ways are gone, what are they going to be replaced with? So when we look at viruses, we have to accept the fact that viruses are co-created, right? So there's this idea that viruses are co-created in the sense that if you're looking at the Spanish flu, which takes place between, I think it was 1918, 1919, or 1917, 1919, something like that. The point is, 60 million people got taken out, but it was zootic, like it was you have overcrowd. I don't know if I spelled that right. I probably didn't. But you had this idea of overcrowding of chickens in Missouri, right? You had this overcrowding of chickens in Missouri, and then the virus makes its way down to the swine, the pigs on the,
Yeah.
the pigs. And so what happens is you have this genetic mutation happening where the virus is able to become more common, right? It goes from being a SARS, it goes from being an avian flu to becoming a swine flu. And at that point, because swine are very similar to human beings in terms of temperature and, in the mammals, et cetera, at that point, it's very easy that pig farmers are then going to be able to share it with other people. So, Right. So what happened was in Missouri, Kansas, you had soldiers in the barracks in World War I, and you had these chicken coops and these pigsties near where the soldiers were being kept. And so the virus quickly spread to the soldiers. And then from there, we had soldiers serving in the Spanish Revolution. People, it spread to the foreign legions, these diseases. Later on, but the point is that when U.S. troops were in Spain, even before that, in like during this time period, it spread, and that was why they called it the Spanish flu.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was intriguing when you mentioned that about the similarities, pigs and humans. Like, didn't they even once experiment with transplanting pig hearts into humans?
Yeah, well, valves, not the yes, but
the valves. Then okay,
you're going to have less of a rejection, immune rejection.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that took out 60 million people. But if you're looking at COVID, if you're looking at the COVID virus, it only had a mortality rate of say 2 point something, right? So you're talking about, oh well, this was horrible, but we're not talking about numbers anywhere near the same numbers we got with say swine flu. The point is that it was economically devastating and a lot of people died, but the other thing that's horrible that we have to think about is that what if you get something more virulent?
Mm-hmm.
Well, an example of that would be like Ebola.
Yes,
because Ebola, we could have had a serious problem with Ebola, in the sense that if it had made it to the States, it has close to 100% mortality.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So I guess my question, doomsday approaches, right? So the doomsday scenario, everybody has these doomsday, why am I not spelling well today? I don't know. I think it's because I'm still lagging. My sleep is lagging. Doomsday. We'll do it like that. Doomsday, one word. Okay, so that is the dark thing that people are calculating, but not because of something negative, but because we want the world to be safe. And one of the most likely scenarios of if anything is going to take humans out is probably going to be number one, viruses.
Certainly right. A plausible theory.
Yeah, because you don't really know. First off, they're extremely tiny. Secondly, if you're talking, you can create genetic variations. If you're talking about biological warfare, like smallpox could be used as biological warfare.
Yes.
So that is why many people started to get vaccinated for smallpox in certain parts of the world.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. So
may I ask you quickly, when you were in Israel, was this a big concern with the war?
Yes, everyone was talking about this. Everyone was talking about this idea of a chemical attacks, risk that in future there would be chemical attack. Hi, honey, where do you want to sit? My cat's arguing with me.
Oh, Mila.
Okay, if that's where you want to be, that's cool.
Okay. Whimsy, I'm laughing a little because I've been making a few cat videos with my Siamese cat, Sasha.
I saw those.
And it is hard to get a cat to cooperate. Some of my videos are like 15 seconds long because that's usually the duration I can get her to cooperate. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out with Mila.
I think the person who said that, I think somebody thought you were going to give me the bottle. That's I was like,
No, I'm not giving him
the bottle. It's like, we're
party.
not great thanking him. No, he's not, because we had talked before, and it's his bottle. He paid $200 for it.
Whimsy, I love you dearly, but you're not getting your hands on my Genie bottle.
They were like, you have to thank him. Oh no, he's not giving it to me, honey. So I think people thought that that's what was going on. No,
maybe that's what it was. I kind of thought
talking about him buying the bottle for himself, and he got to meet Genie.
Yes. That's my story.
Yeah. So, I mean, biological warfare, if you're, what kind, particularly if it had a high mortality rate. And, so people get enamored with big stuff like mega volcanoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is something else we can all freak out about. Mega volcanoes, asteroids, comets. We'll do those too.
We're just doomed.
Global warming. Let's just do it already. All the things that can go. Come on. Let's just go straight into it.
Shouldn't be joking about this.
What? I mean, come on. Well, what?
Hey, it is Taco Tuesdays. We're being silly today.
Exactly. Learn to laugh at it all. So mega volcanoes or anything that's going to release massive amounts of anything that's bad for you, like CO2, etc. If you had massive amounts of CO2 or any kind of gas released into the atmosphere, which is funny to us. Why are we laughing about this? Because we know about it.
They're childish.
It would theoretically change the ratios of the gases so that basically you create a massive, gas chamber. No, see, so
okay, folks, this is live.
Meteors. So why are we laughing, and why are Chuck and I doing this? We're doing this because people, you've got to accept, like, what did we talk about? Me, that Khomeini was trying to kill me last month, right?
Yes, exactly.
So why do we do this every week? Why are we doing this?
Because we both are in big agreement, and I hope a lot of people out there are too, that we have to laugh at these things. We have to get a little silly, a little crazy. We have to have levity. Yes, we have to have levity. We have to have laughter, because you know what? Laughter is light.
Mm-hmm.
And to just mention my beloved Lucille Ball quickly.
Right.
Lucille, the name translated to mean literally carrier of light.
Oh, wow.
Yes, isn't that beautiful? Yes, carrier of light. That's what Lucille means. Lustrate, Lucinda, all that means light. Light. That's what her name meant. I mean, it was just so perfect. But
that's pretty funny. I'm like talking to the doom and gloom people, and they're like, "Well,
talking about viruses
and one big gas chamber."
That's what set us off, the natural gas.
I think biological warfare, and I think that it's really. Oh, other people are frightened of AI. I forgot to mention AI.
Artificial intelligence, yes.
Right.
Oh, it's
atomic weapons. See, I mean, come on. We missed so many.
Oh, I loved what somebody just said here. Lucille Ball, ball of light. That's beautiful. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Whimsy. I just had to say that real quick.
Okay, so I thought we would do some blitzes before we close. We're just having fun. People are talking. Let's go into it. I've got a couple questions here. People want to talk about the race. As I got your questions. You guys email me, whimsyanderson@gmail.com. I promise that Chuck and I will talk about it. So the first one is I got a private message from somebody having a meltdown about the fact that Trump, they're like, see what I'm talking about? Trump wins Iowa in a landslide. You want to talk about it?
Well, it actually was not a landslide. It was, 50%? Well, first of all, it was only a 14% turnout because of the weather.
Okay.
And understanding it was only 50% of the Republicans who sided with Trump. So it was kind of like the illusion of a landslide, even though he did come in first. Well, I mean, what's your take on it, Whimsy?
Well, if it's 50%, that's really powerful. And that shows that he's declining because, did we type it out? Did I type out our conversation? I'm sorry. We're talking about the Iowa
Iowa caucus.
Yeah. Another thing to be terrified of. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's an important point, that he's now 50%. Number one reason people didn't vote for him is his, according to Iowa Republicans, is his constant legal woes. Guys want to talk about that?
Oh, his legal woes. Where do we start? Where do we start?
Let's do. We're going to do a blitz just on Trump's legal woes. Trump's legal woes. If you got cards or whatever you want to use, but I'm going to go ahead.
Question
is, can you see the future regarding Trump's legal woes?
How would I ask that to a pendulum? Or maybe I should pull a card.
Why don't you use your cards instead?
Let me use the Oracle card. Let me do some shuffling here.
I didn't. I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I just pulled one here. I got exhaustion. The exhaustion card. Don't you just get the feeling? I take that to mean several things. Because you've already brought this up. People are just getting sick and tired of all of this nonsense, all of this BS with Trump, all of this ongoing stuff. It's like enough already. But I'm also getting like exhaustion from Trump himself. I mean, you watch him. His energy is low at times. He doesn't seem to be able to conjure up that old magic. I hate to use that word magic, but you know what I mean. That old persona. It's tired. He's getting old. I think he's showing signs of dementia. He's, as the card says, exhaustion. I just get exhaustion all around. That's what I read in this card when I pulled it. What are you getting, Whimsy?
Well, exactly what you got in the crypt. You know, this is a level of energy where in the crypt, it also could indicate that it's finished for him. So I think it's finished for him.
Yeah.
And then you have the well going deeper, the house, comes the child, the bridge. I think that this could be an indication that somebody younger going to the house, or trying to get somebody younger to the house. I think Nikki Haley's going to get elected. I really do. We can do a throw on Nikki Haley, but God, I feel, you know what? I have compassion for everybody, even Donald Trump. I mean, this is a terrible ending. I mean, people have to understand also, you know, a lot of people are very concerned about older statesmen, whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, because of increased risk for Alzheimer's, for example. If you're 80 years old, you're at a 50% risk factor for developing Alzheimer's.
Yes.
So what are some of the risk factors for Alzheimer's other than age? So if we're looking at, let's just look at Joe Biden. Trump is gone, but let's go ahead and look at Joe Biden. So when we're looking at age, right? Age puts you at, once you hit 80, you're getting closer to a 50% risk of cognitive decline, which is going to, you know, we're talking about Alzheimer's. So could someone, emotion aside, because we love our Joe, right? He's a nice guy.
I love Joe Biden.
But that's not the question, whether he's a cool cat, you know. The question is, do we get to a point where we say there's a certain age where the evidence for a person, if a person is at greater risk of cognitive decline, the older they get, does this mean that they should not be the candidate? I'm not talking about, and people say he did great 3 years ago, but here, right. I'm just talking pure science. Once you hit 70, 80 years of age, your brain is starting to age really rapidly.
Yeah.
Now, he's married to someone who knows medicine inside and out. I think she has a PhD in physical fitness.
I forget. It's a PhD, but.
Mm-hmm. And she has him on a very lean diet. I mean, this guy is on fish and vegetables and a walk every night.
He looks like a man who exercises.
Yeah. So she's doing a great job in terms of keeping his brain healthy. right? Reduce animal fat is not your friend. It doesn't mean you have to give up animals. I mean, it's just
Right.
like,
It's like what you told me, 80%
well,
plant.
yeah, 80-20. We get you to 80% plant-based, 35% it can be carbs. That's cool. But, removing the skin from the chicken, cutting the fat off, all of those things can improve your health. But he's still 80 years old. So
Yeah.
first risk for Alzheimer's is age, right? Age.
That's what happened to my father.
Right. And then we have to look at genetics. Does the person have, any kind of genetics history? Do they have a predisposition?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just going to say my father was incredibly sharp until he was about 86 or so. But then he died at 89. But in those final 3 years, I saw such a rapid decline in his mental ability.
Yeah. So that's the conversation about Joe Biden. He did great in certain areas a couple of years ago. But if his cognitive decline, if you're talking about cognitive decline, rapidly declining after a particular age, are we going to continue to be emotionally attached, or are we going to objectively say we need to go with a younger candidate?
Yeah.
So, and then other things we look for risk factors is high cholesterol, or we look at lipids, and that's because when we're looking at Alzheimer's, this is just general information for people. I want to talk about it as a doctor,
Yeah.
and I know you're a physician's assistant.
I was just going to mention inflammation also.
Thank you. Yes, we're going to get into that. But the point is that flow. So when we're talking about staying healthy, we talk about flow.
Yeah.
We want everything to flow. When do we start to get sick? When there's a block in flow. So for a man, that might be an enlarged prostate, right?
Yes.
So that would be an example.
From an enlarged prostate.
Right. So that would be an example of a loss of flow. Narrowing of the arteries so that oxygen can't get to the brain.
Yes.
Would be an example of a lack of flow, right?
Yes.
So we want the blood to flow. We want the urinary to flow. We want to make sure that oxygen is flowing. So anything that's going to block flow is going to lead to cognitive decline. And you talked about briefly, I just mentioned something about inflammation. And when we see inflammation is associated with obesity, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about that. I know I grilled you on that because I remember that you had to look at the.
Oh God, yes.
Remember that when we had when I showed you the thing on carbohydrates, and increase in free radicals, and inflammation with.
I remember.
And elevated. We went through it for like a couple of weeks.
A long time. It was very complex.
Yeah, and I think that the reason we did that was because we were putting a lot of our actors on like anti-inflammatory. They were trying to
do like wolf enzymes, not to give a product, but proteolytic enzymes.
Yeah, keeping all the people healthy for those
times. Proteolytic enzymes. I remember we gave a lot of those for that type of
information. Right. So obesity, and of course, along with that is blood sugar dysregulation, and blood sugar is messed up. So your blood sugar is messed up. Why do these things happen? It happens because as we age, our enzymes start to drop, right? So that includes the pancreas can die as well, in the sense that the pancreas, the amount of beta cells being produced could decline, right? So you can have geriatric diabetes start to show up simply because the person is no longer producing the same amount of pancreatic enzymes that they had produced in the past. And along with that, digestive enzymes, which is why in older people we see digestive problems.
Oh, we were both very big on giving people digestive enzymes and pancreatin. I remember that.
Right. Yeah. So all of those things are things we have to think about. I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah.
I know you wanted to say some stuff about it. It's coming up in the news. And I would just encourage people to not be emotionally attached, because I don't have an opinion either way right now. I
Yeah.
mean, like, I'm just going to see how it plays itself out.
Sure.
And, but I'm not attached. I'm not so emotionally attached to Joe Biden as a person that I'm not open to a Democratic primary if he wants to step down, because it becomes a real issue. See what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I got to tell you, because I thought we were going to pull cards there. I was actually
Yeah,
holding.
we're going to do that next. But I just want to,
Oh, I know. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was just
we're
going
going to close pretty soon. But that was the last thing I wanted to leave people.
I was just going to bring up that I did pull a card. I got the compromise card in regards to Biden, and I'm not sure entirely I understand what that means, other than something, some kind of compromise, some kind of deal, something. I don't know if that means him stepping down in favor of somebody else or what.
Let me take a look.
But you find that interesting, that card, compromise?
Well, so did he win and then step down?
Maybe. I'm not sure. That's why I'd be curious to see what you would get in your cards in regards to this. Because I was here shuffling my cards really good, and I just pulled, and that's what came up.
I think it's very likely that he will. If he wins, he will step down. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
The bridge that leads to handing the keys over to somebody.
Yeah, you've mentioned
Talk. I'm sorry, I'm coughing. I'm back with my cat. You're like, oh no, the cat cough. I'm sorry. So the bridge, and then we have the keys.
Yes.
And then we have TikTok. And then the final outcome is the woman. So I'm thinking it's very likely that if that's the case, then I think that we have to get. I think Kamala Harris would be fine.
It's interesting. We could be facing a woman president with either party, Nikki Haley or Kamala Harris, based on what you're saying.
Right. Somebody was just talking about cognitive decline and how their grandmother was sharp. So the last thing I was going to say is physical activity, because we had talked about brain flow, blood flow in the brain. Did I say that? Oxygen? Oxygen levels in the brain. So the last thing we want to talk about is just exercise on a regular basis, because you're pumping your heart and you're increasing oxygen to the brain.
I think even a good 30-minute walk a day can do wonders.
Yeah. I went out today, and it's been snowing so much that Powell's Books was closed.
Oh.
So, yeah, but it was beautiful. I took pictures. It was gorgeous.
I miss snow.
Yeah. Oh, hi, my friend.
Manchester, England. I've been to Manchester.
Oh, yeah, I hiked in that. I hiked across.
I loved Manchester. It was on the way to Edinburgh, Scotland. I just love that whole region of Britain. Yeah. So,
right. Well, did you have fun? Wasn't today fun?
This is one of the most fun shows we've ever done, truthfully.
I got into this conversation with somebody about, who did you want to be when you were younger? And I was, and I was like, I really, and then like, it's so funny because I had written my thesis on benign. I didn't realize that what I was really attracted was wanting to be that loving, that positive energy. But it's so funny that my thesis was on that. And I thought, she's really the master of kindness, isn't she?
Yes.
She really, her agenda is just very pure. And I really love that about that.
I love what you said. You could write a little article about I Dream of Genie. Everything you told me about the Silk Road and witches and how Genie would come into the place. It'd be a wonderful little essay to write.
Yeah, maybe I will. All right, everybody. Thank you again for your love and support. If you're trying to get in to see me as a doctor, you can check out the information, drwhimsy.com. I'm available for telemedicine and making your medicines for you. Also, if you need to see me as a reader, that information is also available. Chuck, any announcements?
Well, I was just going to say also, I help book her appointments sometimes. A lot of you, I end up calling on the phone. I just went through A to Z. Now I guess I'm going to be going back to A again, right, Whimsy?
Yes.
Okay. But anyway, I have my own thing, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles. Please like and subscribe. Also, I do a So on Mondays, thanks to Whimsy, she got me into this wonderful world.
You're growing. You're like up to 700 and something. You're just flying.
It is taking off. I just, and I always give gratitude to you. You're the one who got me into this. Well, you did. It's just the truth.
We're having so much fun.
Well, this is a delicious world to be in.
It is so much fun. I had to be so serious when I was becoming a scientist. I had to like suppress the whimsy, but
yeah. Well, I remember that because this was when we were working together and you were initially considering doing this and you were worried about bridging those two worlds of, being a serious,
but also being recognized as a legitimate researcher. It's what it is. But you get to a point where you're like, man, I just want to have fun. My data speaks for itself. Tear my pieces apart. But
you've been doing this for years now, and you have balanced the two worlds beautifully. You have kept your integrity in both fields. And I know that because I talk to your clients. Believe me, people love you. They have so much praise and love for you. And I end up getting into great conversations because they watch our show. And, we're building a community out there.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say the reason we call you is not because you have to make an appointment. That's
Oh, no, of course not. I
what are you selling? We're not. I mean, I'm fine. He's fine. We got plenty of work.
I try to keep that in mind. Just
we just like you and check in on you.
I wish you happy New Year. Just
5 minutes and leave some notes. We just want to keep you happy, and
yeah, exactly.
It is, and there's no pressure to do anything.
That's right. Well, I've even said to people, you just like to keep a personal touch with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Weird. Why is she calling?
We're here for you.
No, we're not. All right. Be kind to all so that all can be kind to you too. We'll see you all later. Be well, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Love you.
Bye.